It started on an ordinary Monday morning at the glass skyscraper of Anderson Global Holdings, a company where suits gleamed and egos ran high. The janitor, Mark Reynolds, 42, had been working there for 3 years. He arrived before dawn, long before the first intern rushed in with coffee, and he left after the last executive had turned off their office lights. He was the quiet type, kind eyes, rough hands, a mop that seemed to move in rhythm with his thoughts. To most people he was invisible, but Mark wasn't bitter. He needed the job. He had a 10-year-old son, Ethan, waiting for him every evening in their small apartment on the outskirts of town. Ethan was everything Mark had left after his wife passed away 5 years ago from cancer. He promised her he'd keep their boy safe, fed, and educated no matter how hard things got. And things had gotten hard. That morning, as Mark wiped down the hallway near the executive boardroom, he overheard snippets of a tense conversation. "Quarterly reports are down again," a young manager said. "If we don't present something new, the board will cut funding." "It's not our fault the new logistics model failed," another replied. "We followed the consultant's plan to the letter." Mark paused. Logistics? He used to know a bit about that. Before the accident that took his wife and wiped out their savings, he had run a small delivery business, one that he'd built from scratch and grown into a local success, until medical bills and grief pulled everything apart. But as he listened to their conversation, he couldn't help himself. "Excuse me, sir," he said quietly, "maybe the problem isn't the model, it's the timing. You can't apply high-volume delivery scheduling to a market that's still recovering from shortages." The room went silent, every head turned toward him. The manager blinked. Did the janitor just give business advice? A ripple of laughter followed. "That's cute," one of the executives chuckled. "You stick to floors, buddy, we'll stick to boardrooms." Mark flushed and lowered his eyes. "Sorry," he muttered, "didn't mean to interrupt." But someone else had been watching from the far end of the corridor. Alexander Cole, 38, CEO of Anderson Global Holdings, stood near the elevator. He was known for his sharp mind and colder heart. To most, he was untouchable, his words were law and his time was gold, yet in that quiet moment he didn't laugh. He watched the janitor's calm, respectful retreat, and something about the man's tone lingered with him. There was no arrogance, just sincerity. Later that day, during lunch, Alex overheard 2 employees mocking the janitor again near the cafe. "Can you believe he tried giving advice about operations?" one said. "Probably read something online and thought he's Warren Buffett." But Alex wasn't smiling. Instead, he found himself searching for Mark that afternoon. He found him polishing the brass railing near the lobby. "You said earlier that our logistics timing was off," Alex began. "What did you mean by that?" Mark looked up startled. "Oh, sir, it's nothing really, I didn't mean to." "No, I'm asking," Alex said, folding his arms. "Explain." Mark hesitated. "Well, sir, if I may, the issue isn't the route design, it's the warehouse restocking window. Your company's using a 2-day rotation, but the market's demand pattern shifted after the shortage. You're reloading before your distributors are ready. You're burning cost without building supply consistency." Alex frowned, intrigued. "And how do you know that?" Mark smiled faintly. "Because I made the same mistake once, lost everything because I didn't adapt to new timing, learned it the hard way." The CEO's expression softened. "You ran a business." "Used to," Mark said, "until life had other plans." For the first time in years, Alex didn't know what to say. That evening, when Alex returned to his office, he couldn't focus. He kept thinking about the janitor, his calm insight, the quiet wisdom behind his words. He called his assistant. "Get me the warehouse rotation reports from the last 2 quarters, he said. The next morning, he verified everything. Mark was right. The company had been bleeding money from premature restocking. The consultants had missed it, the managers had missed it, but the janitor hadn't. Alex called for a private meeting. When Mark arrived, still in his cleaning uniform, everyone in the room stared in disbelief. "I heard you had some thoughts about our operations," Alex said. "Would you mind sharing them again?" Mark looked nervous but spoke honestly. "It's just simple math, sir. The demand's there, you just need to wait for it to mature before investing more inventory. If you align your schedule with local distributor cycles, your losses will stop within 2 weeks." Silence filled the room, then Alex turned to his managers, implement it. The managers exchanged uneasy glances. Sir, are you sure he's? I said implement it, Alex repeated firmly. Weeks passed. The new model worked. The company's logistics losses dropped dramatically. For the first time in months, profits began to rise. The board was impressed. The managers were stunned, and Mark, he went back to cleaning floors like nothing had happened. But not to Alex. One Friday evening after the last employee had left, Alex found Mark again. You saved this company millions, he said quietly. You could have kept silent. Why did you speak up that day? Mark looked thoughtful. Because sometimes the right words, even from the wrong person, can make a difference. I didn't want to see people fail for something that could be fixed. Alex smiled faintly. You ever think about working in logistics again? Mark chuckled. Can't afford to dream that big anymore, sir. Alex's gaze softened. Then maybe it's time someone else helped you dream. The next Monday, when the employees walked in, they saw something that made them stop in their tracks. The janitor was standing beside the CEO in a suit. His nameplate now read, Mark Reynolds, Operations Consultant. Whispers spread across the building. The same people who had laughed now lowered their eyes in shame. But Mark didn't hold grudges. He greeted them kindly, offered help when needed, and carried himself with the same quiet grace he always had. And when Ethan visited his dad at the office that Friday, he beamed with pride. You're really working with the boss now, Dad. Mark knelt and hugged him. Yeah, buddy, guess good things happen when you don't stop believing in yourself.